Big
G'day everybody, you're listening to the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton and I'm joined by Locky.
What up, what up, what up, everybody?
By Ikon.
Hello.
By Laurence.
What's up?
And by Charlie.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, good.
We're good.
Good. Very good.
It's a
Nice.
a stacked card tonight, boys.
We've got quite a few people on and quite a bit to talk about. We've got some fun stuff happening, or that has happened. Before we get into any of that, all the usual, check out Dice Arcade, great bloke. Check out the Tray Tinker. There'll be a code down in the description to get 10% off there if you want a custom bespoke dice tray.
I didn't know Dice Arcade was a bloke.
Well, Tim's a great bloke. He runs Dice Arcade, which is a great store. You'll hear more from him later. Jump down into our Discord if you want to hang out with us and talk shop. We've got all sorts of crazy stuff happening there. My favourite thing at the moment is the Slow Grow League, or the tale of many wargamers that's going on, which is a great way to commit to getting some stuff painted and seeing some sweet models.
Yeah, there's been some really cool stuff coming out of that. The first Necron that I saw painted for this month looked really cool. I don't know what Necron model it was because, you know, Filthy Xenos and all that, but it was really cool.
All right, look, you listen here, Ikon. Now, you and Locky weren't on last week for one reason and one reason only. Because all the shit you talked the week before.
Because we're awesome. You couldn't handle the awesomeness of us.
So you got your big Necron. I mean, there's enough Necron players in the Discord. You could just have like a big Necron.
We could have a big
slug
Necron
fest.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
But yeah, so check out the Discord. Fantastic stuff happening in there. And if you want to support us even more, become a patron. You get a whole bunch of exclusive stuff, including early access to battle reports, an entire extra podcast, the pre-game show, where we break down our lists and strategies for each upcoming battle report, as well as t-shirts, which is great, and other merch, which we'll be rolling out.
Voting.
As voting on what is to come on battle reports, as well as an exclusive narrative campaign, which you'll be getting each episode as we finish it until the whole series is finished, and then they'll be going up for free on YouTube. We've currently got one up. We've got a bunch more in the works now that Genes to the Cults have their new book. That's exciting.
Yes, it's very.
That is pretty cool.
With all of that out of the way, very, very quickly, what has everyone been working on? Locky, quickly.
Tyranids.
Nice. Charlie, quickly.
Visarch and Highland Banshee.
Sweet. Laurence, quickly.
Imperial Knights.
Nice. And Ikon?
Terrain.
Terrain.
Table
Sweet
build.
as. Cool. Sounds like good stuff. And the reason that was quick is because we've got a lot to talk about. Because over the weekend, what happened?
Emotional damage.
Yes, that did. And would someone care to enlighten us as to where and at what event this happened?
Your event where Charlie Zelda did all the bad touches.
I may have touched
no.
a Black Templar or two.
Yeah. Try all like 40 of them. No, it was an amazing event. It was a lot of fun, and everything was smooth, and the tables looked amazing, and everybody was friendly, except for Charlie. And, and honestly, God, it was an awesome day, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I was broken after that. It was an awesome day. Meeting everybody, had a good laugh, and it was good to see put some faces to names. Seen in the Discord, and actually seen them real. It's good.
Yeah.
Nice. Good fun.
Yeah, so the event was 40K's the way, which was our first organised play event. Laurence, Locky, and myself were organising and running it. Charlie and Ikon both participated. And yeah, it was so great to see everyone there. We're glad people had a good time, and yeah, we're running plenty more in the future.
Excellent.
Yes. We can name.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. We can name 2 events that we're having. We haven't got titles for them, but 2 more events at minimum are happening this year.
Awesome.
Really?
Yep.
So we've got another one happening in June, and then one happening in October. So specific dates, names, and details will be coming out later on in the year as we get a little closer to them.
It'll be August. Sorry. not October.
Oh, August, not October. All right,
August
it
is
is
before October, right? Yeah. No.
Yes.
No,
So,
yeah,
so is
September.
September
August,
and
September.
most of the other months.
Yes.
September.
All right,
It'll
cool.
be in September. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it went August, October. I'm like, that's not right.
After
Welcome
July,
to the Risky Rollers podcast, where we teach Locky how calendars work.
Yeah. So
well,
there's
after
maths
July,
and now
it doesn't
calendars.
matter. After July, it doesn't matter because it's end of financial year, get tax returns, spend money, and then blah 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 Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Seriously, who August, September, October? Who actually knows what they're for?
No, do you know right? It's Cup Day. The other thing that matters is Cup Day, and this is the reason why is because you get no public holidays after July until November.
Oh well,
Oh.
actually, AFL Grand Final is now a public holiday.
Well,
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Well, then
In
it's the
Victoria,
grand
we
final,
get the
there you
grand
go.
final. Yeah.
there you go.
But who cares about AFL?
That's right.
Well, a lot of people
here to play
evidently,
40.
because we.
Yeah.
Got a public
It's the
holiday
biggest sporting event in the country.
Yeah. Game
Um,
sucks.
All right, I'm muting Charlie.
Yeah. So the
But
first,
yes, we've got two more of those happening.
Yeah.
If you want to get info on them first, be in the Discord. That's where we put out all of our updates there. And it's where we'll be opening up entry into the Discord a little bit before we make it public.
Yes.
So if you want to just have a bit of a foot in the door for any of our future events, make sure you're there.
Yeah, yeah, and more details will come both publicly and through the Discord. So yeah,
Yes,
but yeah,
absolutely.
so the event was our first event. It was 16 players, so it's just a small event. We start small, don't go too crazy.
Yep.
We kind of just wanted to. We set ourselves a bar of good quality, medium packed terrain on tables.
Yep.
And
Just tables that we looked at and went, those are nice to play on. They're the kind of tables that we would show off on the channel and we'd play on it.
exactly.
Look, if you're on any sort of Melbourne or Australian 40k pages, I've seen them circulate and only positive things said about them from people that were at the event, being like, these tables are freaking awesome. You go through the comments and they're very satisfactory tables. They were really
Cheers,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's been
thanks.
great to see the response and the appreciation of them. But yeah, so we did all that, and we had 16 players just with a random draw running through it. It wasn't anything too crazy as far as pairings went, and it seemed to be a good day. Everyone had fun. Lots of games were played. Some fantastic armies were there, and just a bunch of fantastic people.
That's it. Can't ask for anything more than that.
I was
Yeah, for
honestly
sure.
surprised. Like, going into it, I was worried about the 2.5 hour time frame. I was like, gee, because when you sort of play around at home or at a shop or wherever, you never worry too much about it. And going into your first event where there was a time cap, I was pretty stressed about it. But it really you really get through it really quickly. I reckon I got to at least turn 4 every game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you play it a bit and you sort of get used to the pace of a game happening in 2.5 hours. But it is definitely something to be aware of, especially if you start playing armies with a higher model count or with more detailed things to keep track of.
I had that in my first game against Orcs, and
Yeah,
we got to the end of turn 2. It was like, yeah. And then, again, the second game was really fast, so that was good.
I think it
Yeah.
does change when because the event was more of a event, not tournament. So it was kind of marketed as this. Hey, if you ever wanted to experience an event without the epic field ads of potentially some full gamey hardcore lists, and sort of come to this. And what from my experience with Heresy and stuff like that, when you go to an event that is a bit more full competitive, your games are usually over. Rarely games push past turn 3 because they're so optimized. It's just sort of one mistake is usually punishing the other player or whatever pretty heavily. So there's also that to keep in mind as well. Like that, we were at Heresy with 2.5 hours. I was getting through every game like turn 2, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think I got past turn. Oh no, that would be a lie. I think in the final game of the weekend, I got past turn 3.
Yeah, and that was 3,000 points. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, but then it's good. It's good that you didn't find that to be an issue or too much of an issue anyway.
Nah, because it's easy when you table a team, so
Still took you 4 turns.
But what was the explain to us what all this emotional damage is all about?
Alright, so Charlie and I got paired, And
Which round? Which round? So which round was this?
Second.
It was round 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is round 2. It was over on the cathedral table.
Yeah.
Oh, very quickly, alongside this podcast up on Instagram, we're going to be posting a bunch of the pictures from the event.
Yep.
So go over there to check out a lot of what we're talking about, because I've got pictures, I think, of every game.
And also quickly, just a big thanks to our 3 main sponsors of the event.
Oh, yes, of course.
Tim from Miniature Scenery, Battle Maps, and of course Dice Arcade. So big ups to all of them. Jack from Battle Maps supplied the mats for the day, also some prize support, and Waggers from Miniature Scenery provided a lot of the prize support for the event. So it was absolutely amazing, the generosity that those guys have for our first event. So big thanks to them, big shout out to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I want a truck.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
And I finished putting it together yesterday, and the detail that goes into those things is crazy. Like inside the cockpit, when you glue it all together, it's got like a textured, leatherish look. And this is all made out of MDF, mind you, for the people at home trying to imagine what I'm talking about. But there was whole control panel set up and like a big chair that looked like it was made out of leather, just with the texture that had been laser cut into the MDF. And I was like, this is sick. Like, the image on the box certainly doesn't portray how much awesome detail is in those models. And 100% credit to him. It's awesome work.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. So, Ikon, you were saying round 2.
Oh yeah, back to bad touches. So, we go through all our deployment, blah, 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 blah. Charlie gets turn 1 and just proceeds to alpha strike like a maniac. What are those little hover things that you've got?
Support platforms with D cannons. So
Yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah.
high strength, high damage.
So, just want to point out that Ikon's running Black Templars, their new supplement, and you've been prepping hard for this, and you've been playing excellently.
Yeah, I mean...
I think post the event, we've definitely said it on here, and we'll point out that Locky and I kind of tipped you that you might win the whole thing.
Yes.
With the amount you've been prepping and the amount how well you play your list.
And just, I mean, the results prior to the event, I think I lost 1 game. Prior, and that was to AdMech.
And now Charlie is here running the Eldar with their 8th edition book.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me fix that. 8th edition books. How many books are you running?
I think there's 5 altogether. I've got
So the 5
Forge
different
World,
books.
and I've got the Harleys, and I've got White Dwarf, and then I've got my Craft Worlds, and then I've got the Psychic Awakening. So
Needs are the same. It's horrendous.
Yeah. And now I think Nids and Eldar are probably fighting it out there, but potentially one of the worst placed armies currently in the game as far as just the linear power in the books.
Especially pure craft worlds, for sure. I mean,
it's a tough one for sure.
Yeah. So sorry, Ikon, please continue.
So we are. I mean, I just suffered to lots of out of line of sight D6 damage. Even I don't know, what does the Lynx shoot? That thing did what, D3 plus 3 damage as well?
Nah, so just a flat 3 damage, but it's 6 shots.
Okay.
And it had guide, and then the thing that was shooting it had doom. So it was just
Oof.
the guides, the dooms,
Really
the stacked with the expert crafters. It just meant that everything you shot turn 1 was landing, and when you're rolling 5s and 6s on your damage rolls, which you spiked well on, even at minus 1 damage, even at minus 1 damage on Dreadnoughts, it was just 5 damage a hit. It's 5 damage a hit.
Taking 2 Dreadnoughts out on the first turn before you even get to move them. That sort of that set the pace right there.
Yeah.
I came away from that game realizing that the list that I was building can be very reliant on having turn 1 in any army that is shooting, like heavy shooting. So you would suffer probably the same sort of fate against Tau or AdMech that have big guns. What are the last cannon chicken things? Are they still a thing?
The Iron Striders, they're still good.
Star,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Knights potentially as well.
Yeah. Knights
Is this-
sort of.
It's the same situation with this, right? Like they proc hard. You know, if all that volcano cannon with all this damage actually procs hard, it'll be the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Moving forward, I mean, looking at those sorts of lists and those sort of matchup, it probably would have been worth spending a bunch of CP to put a bunch of stuff in strategic reserve. Just to mitigate the potential of turn 1 being annihilated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 out of line of sight guns that were strength 12, d6 damage.
Yeah.
It's just pretty brutal, and I was rolling hot, so
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't say I was rolling bad, but just aggressively average. So, so you know, like for every 4 shots he's shooting, he's getting 2 through, and he's rolling 6s on his damage rolls. It's basically a dead dreadnought, or it's it's dead this, dead that. There's not really much to say other than he just eviscerated turn 1, and then it was just a slow burning demise after that.
I remember on the day chatting with Laurence, because Laurence and I were over at the scoring table and wandering around a bit. And one of the things that we get to do on the day is wander around and talk to people and see a bunch of different games happening. And Laurence and I were having a good time sort of picking winners in different games and seeing how things were going.
Yes.
And I think it wasn't until like turn 3 or 4 that it sank in that Charlie was tabling you.
Yeah.
That was going to happen.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think...
Yeah. I mean, he's earned this, though. He lost every game at Heresy. So, let's just let him have it. And...
Oh, look, I mean, the next thing I want to say, and I know it wasn't me who said it first, but I think it might have even been Ikon, was pointing out that this is what happens when you play a subpar army over and over again and get to know it really, really well and inside and out. And then when your dice rolls can go your way, you can be devastating with it.
Yeah.
So, well done, Charlie. Like,
thank you. Well, the difference
well deserved.
Yeah, thank you. The difference between Heresy and the 40k is the way. Like Heresy, I was just bringing pure fluffy list. Like it was just like the Avatar and lots of Dire Avengers and all this sort of stuff. It wasn't going to do well. Whereas this list, I've actually tried to design to do well on the first turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I got 2 games in the first turn, and I won both of them purely by shooting lots of things.
And I mean,
quickly.
How
be
close
fair,
was your third game? Because
I
that one
lost
you
by
didn't.
1 point,
Wow.
yeah,
and the last turn, the last points.
that was a good game. I wish I had more time to be there watching that game, but I kept coming past and seeing how close it was.
Yeah, man, it was so close. Such a good game. Ned's with big bugs and
Yeah,
just charging.
that was Crusher Stampede, right?
Yeah.
That was shout out to Scriff Paints there as well, who was that that opponent for that one who won the best painted by player votes.
Yeah, that army is amazing.
Awesome army.
Was that the Black Nids?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
no, they were epic.
yeah.
They were
It was
epic.
one of my favorite Nid schemes.
I don't think I've seen it before. Like, I don't know. Is it an actual?
No, sorry,
hive?
as in like having seen him have it painted there.
I thought you were
is one of my
saying that
favourites
it's.
now.
I thought you were saying that it's like it's actually one of the major hives or something in it.
I don't
quote-unquote
believe
official.
so.
No, it's not. It's a
It's
it's a
just-
custom scheme.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so aside from all the bad touches there, how did the other games go, guys?
Charlie?
Well, obviously the first game against Orcs, I won. We only
Yeah,
got
but what sort of orcs was he running? He sort of had. I noticed a lot of vehicles.
free
like-
voters, I think. Was it free voters? Yeah, he had lots of
Yeah.
vehicles. He's quite a new player, so I think this is his 4th game in 40k. He plays primarily. I think his name was John. He plays primarily.
Yes, it was John.
Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So, and he's like, "Well, I'll play Orcs." 4th game comes to a tournament. I was like, "That's ballsy. Well done."
Yeah.
Well, his list wasn't too bad either. sort of a toned down version of the Orc Buggy list that was wrecking
exactly.
havoc last
So
year.
he had a few scrap jets. He had a Squigosaur. He had a Beast Boston Squigosaur. He had some support platforms and stuff like that, and boys and what have you. But he just deployed really badly. And his Beast Boss and Squigosaur was his new model, and of course I had to kill that straight off.
Yeah, we were literally just talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
New model syndrome is definitely a thing.
Well, I mean, if your opponent puts down a newly painted model, like you just have to.
You have to.
It's just good sportsmanship at that point.
You're not playing with that today.
Like, the thing is, he deployed it right at the front, and so it wasn't protected by anything. I was like, well, that's silly. So I just literally just shot it.
Today you're gonna learn, boy. Boom.
But ended up like just because he was learning the rules and having quite a slow game, we were just having a good chat. Worked out about 45 to 25 or something, and it was just like, yeah, that sounds about right. I got the win.
Yeah. That was you guys were on the table right in front of the score desk for that, weren't you? Yeah, it seemed like you were having a lot of fun.
It was a good laugh. Getting some good cool rules with his he brought in his death copters. By that point, it was too late. To do the bombing and stuff like that. He didn't have very many models left. It was just like
I mean, he still got the bombs off and did some damage to your Dire Avengers, right?
He did, but Dire Avengers at that point they'd done Rod.
They'd done their thing.
They'd done their whole objective, and they literally couldn't do anything else. So. But it was good. And then obviously the second game was against Ikon. May I add, I beat him, but I also missed a whole phase of Psychic and still beat him.
Oh wow, nice.
I just got too excited. I was like, I want to shoot him. And then I was like, shit, Psychic. Damn it. Didn't matter.
Next time you'll remember Psychic because you're like, this happened. This happens. It's a thing.
Dude, you say that, but I did it at Heresy too. So I obviously don't learn. And then the third game against the Nids, that was just a wicked, really tight game. It was all fought in the middle. Like he'd move up to the middle, I'd move up to the middle, and we just fight each other off points.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just super good. And then the charging of the big bugs with 10 wounds, and like it was just brutal, killing all my red blades with mortal wounds, and then my racier coming in, clutch killing loads of warriors off the point, and it was just a really good game, good fun.
Did you finish that on the 5th round, Charlie?
Yeah, 5th round. Lost by 1 point at the end.
So the score was 78-77. What could have been the difference, you reckon?
So there's one bit of the movement. I whiffed a lot of shots with my. So actually, no. The 5th turn, I shot with the Wraith Seer, something that was in range of the support platforms. So I shot them off the board, and then there's nothing in range with support platforms.
Okay.
I could have literally shot the Hive Guard, which is one of his to the last units, and I could have killed them, and then he would have lost 5 points, and then I would have got the game.
Yeah,
that was a big mistake on my part, but I think that was a big difference. But pretty much everything else couldn't have done a huge amount. It's just slugfest in the middle of the board. It was great.
Yeah, nice.
It's always good when you have games that are like big trades in the middle of the board. It just makes the game so fun.
Yeah,
it really does.
It's like a battle for who's got more.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Ikon? How was your day? How did your games go?
So my first game started out really great, for me anyway. I went into Sisters Battle, and they were. I mean, I'd never gone into Sisters before, and I've just heard horrendous things about how killy they can be. But when deployment happened, he faced off against my Dreadnought Spear, which was on the sort of right flank of my deployment zone, right across from me, and quite out in the open was what are they called? The ones with the shields, Sacrosancts.
Sacrosancts, yeah.
Yes, 5 of them, and then standing behind them was Morven Val, and I proceeded to be like, well, I'm gonna drop all my Dreadnoughts into these Sacrosancts and then attempt to kill Morven Val, and sure enough, turn 1 managed to eat them all Ended up having to spend my whirlwind shooting from the other side of the board to kill the last Circus Hank to get the next Dreadnought to unload all its weapons on Moorabbin Vale, but then proceeded to roll a 6 for my macroplasma shots.
Oof.
Got 5 of them through to saves, and then with overcharge, so she's halving all incoming damage, but it's rounding up, so it's still 2 damage, and of those 5 wounds going through, she managed to fail all of them, and yeah,
Brutal.
yeah,
Epic.
yeah, it was like 5 2s and 3s and like 1s, and I don't know, it was just brutal. And after that, I mean, he'd positioned so there was going to be, re-rolls of 1s for his melters and stuff happening from that. And once she was gone, that flank just it didn't have the efficiency it needed. He had the 2 of the melter squads. I don't know what they're called.
Retributors.
2 squads of them, and they spent 3 of the 4 turns that we played through just pumping Melter into Dreadnoughts just to try and stop them from dominating that half of the battlefield. Moorabbin Vale going down it got him unstuck very quickly.
It's a big one because the sisters generally, most lists do rely on her as a big force multiplier to increase the efficiency of everything else. And because she's just so good at doing that, like in so many different ways. So.
Well, I actually don't even know what her rules are. I never even got to experience them. I'm assuming she gives like Chapter Master re-rolls or whatever equivalent.
Yeah, but it's both. It's reroll hits and wound, and then you have rerolling 1s within an aura, and then you have rerolling 1s to hit and wound in an aura as well. And then she's awesome, insane in combat. She can fight twice for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's epic.
Yeah. So when she went down,
the guy went down as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even the mortal wound dumps that sisters can do, sort of, I rolled pretty hot on my 5-up in Feel No Pain against mortal wounds, being Black Templar.
You always do. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I rolled.
Always, it's like, I've got there's 6 mortals. You'll be like, I saved 4, and you're like, no, you didn't. You're like, yeah, I did. And you're like,
it just. To be fair, in his defense, I think. I can't remember what the interaction was, but he needed. It was against one of his other character models. I'm assuming it had 5 wounds, maybe 4. I don't know. But he had 6 saves going into it on 5-up invulnerables, and he saved 5 of them.
Wow.
yeah, Clash, that's mad.
Yeah, I think it was into Vanguard veterans. My Vanguard veterans going into one of his characters, and their lightning claws. He had 6 saves to make, and he rolled 5 5s and 6s. Took 1 wound. It was gross.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool, but also gross. And then my game 2 we've already been over, and game 3 was against the other Crusher Stampede, and that one was close, but I did also lose that one. Carnifexes, they just sort of choked up all the positions because he moved them right into my face, which Nids do, and then they were just sort of tanky enough to stop me from playing the game and having to deal with them.
He had like 6 of them, right?
Yeah, it was a lot. And then he had the I think it was a 6-man squad of Hive Guard, and they're doing the hitting on 2, strength 8, all the buffs.
Hive Guard are disgusting.
Look, it wasn't so much them that was the problem. It was I couldn't do the objective thing because every time I tried to disengage to go get my objectives, a Carnifex would chase me down. The Hive Guard the Hive Guard actually. The Hive Guard actually didn't do a whole lot. His 2 Scythe Hierodules did a lot. Well, actually, one of his Scythe Hierodules did a lot. The other one just sat on an objective that I couldn't get to, and he was like, and I'm just going to shoot my stupid 3d6 flamer everywhere. But one of them just charged into my lines, and they had all the -1 damage, which obviously really reduced how much I could pump into them. So I just got choked up and couldn't disengage to score what I needed to score. And also I forgot to rod at least once, which never helps. I don't know why I took rod.
What was the score in that game?
I don't even remember.
I'll give you the score. I think your opponent scored 91 against your 67.
Okay, Laurence with the memory.
Yeah, Laurence, Jesus.
Yeah.
I have the scoring
Oh, you
kit.
got the score sheet.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so rodding wouldn't have helped, mate. So it's all right. Don't beat yourself up about that one.
No, the one that would have really helped me would be prioritizing the to the last. But his to the last were the two Hydroduals, which were on opposite sides of the map, and the Hive Guard, which he parked in the back corner because obviously they don't need the line of sight shooting. And which, I mean, all credit to him, it's a good play. But it just meant being tied up by Carnifexes. It was something that I couldn't address.
Yeah, and it's annoying because you kill one, and if one turn one Carnifex takes a little bit more than what you expect to kill it, then you're diminishing. Yeah, then you're like, oh, I still have another one. Oh, I still have another one. The next turn, you're like, oh, I got another one. Oh, now I got another one, and it's like literally becomes that mid-board trade.
That was a lot of what was happening because you would commit 2 dreadnoughts in combat to kill the one Carnifex that's blocking your path, but then it's too much damage, right? And then because they're all their own individual unit. You can't just go attack the next one. It's not like you're dumping in 2 dreadnoughts, getting 10 attacks, killing 10 models.
No.
You're either dumping 1 dreadnought in, and maybe potentially not killing 1, or dumping 2 and definitely killing 1. But then you're not able to kill anything else.
Yeah.
And so your weight of numbers is really, really diminished in its efficiency by the fact that you can only kill 1 thing at a time.
Yeah, it sounds very annoying.
You just choked up in the mid board, and yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like there were some interesting games there, and it sounds like there's some lists and armies you wouldn't normally get to go into.
Yeah. Well, Carnifexes, who uses Carnifexes? Who uses 6 of them?
Yeah.
Well, I would if they were better.
But
I've got 4.
But I mean, you say that they do apparently work.
No,
yeah, I mean,
they're not great compared to some of the other stuff. They're just nowhere near as good.
Yeah.
But they will be Codex on the horizon. So very excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So before we move on, we'll just hear a quick bit from from Tim from Dice Arcade, and we'll be right back to talk about how the event ran overall.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands in miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks for that one, Tim. It sounds like the games went well. Let's pivot a little bit. What did we learn from running it, and how did we find running and organising it and having people around? Locky and Laurence.
Locky first?
It's hard to say because I think we did a lot of prep for the event to try and picture every scenario that potentially could go wrong from a pre-organizational point of view, and I think because of that, it made our kind of jobs on the day quite easy. It's hard to say when only, i.e. first event, and it's only 16 people. But I mean, the biggest questions that I only got involved with or had come to me or come to us was stuff about clarity on terrain, and it wasn't so much what the traits were, just more footprints. So that's definitely something that we took, because basically for the people who might be listening to this who weren't there, every table had a laminated A4 sheet of a top-down view of the board, and it had a legend and an allocation for each piece of terrain to what traits that terrain piece what traits were assigned to those terrain pieces, and that was it just mitigated so much. You know, I didn't hear people arguing once about it. I didn't even think. Or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, boys, but I'm pretty sure I didn't even hear one argument between players about what terrain should or shouldn't be, or I didn't know that was, or any of those kinds of things.
Well, I mean, it was very, very straightforward and clear, and it's like, well, if you didn't know, why didn't you read the freaking thing?
Exactly.
It's right there in front of you.
So I think I had maybe one question about the footprint of something while I was there.
Yeah, I had that twice.
And then, okay, yeah. And then I think the only other thing was, of course, one of the tables, we were sort of down maybe one terrain piece when we set it up. We're like, this really needs one more piece just to make it.
It wasn't on the card. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then Charlie very generously brought an extra one along the next day, which we set up for that one. And so all that meant that, you know, for each game I went over and had a quick chat to the players and just mentioned, look, treat this the same way you're treating these ones. And explained that it was just a late addition to it. And that was that.
Yeah. So, like, overall, that's kind of that step of, I guess, part of the pre-organizational process that I think this just really helped. Because I looked at it and go, like, well, you know, what would I want from an event to make things super clear so that I can have as little mitigation, so that I can mitigate as much of unclear conversations or unclear parts of event if I was there, and that was definitely one of them.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think moving forward, our future our future events will have like clear outline footprints of each terrain.
Yep. So for our casual events, that'll likely be in the form of on the sheet we print out.
Yeah.
And for our competitive ones, we're considering options regarding having like a perspex footprint, or just little mats that lay down. Yep. But of course, for more casual ones, where we can put a bit more effort into making the tables look a bit better, we of course won't put them on the tables because they don't look very good.
Yeah, well, it'll probably be both as well. You know, just having it on the document as well as.
Of course. If we're using them at all, they'll still be on the document.
Well, I mean, in my head, you just need to get Jack to like make little neoprene thingos that go underneath them that are the same sort of.
That's not a bad idea.
Terrain changes. That's all. You know, it might be something we might. You know, when you have a corner ruin, you know, it's kind of the discussion that I think goes on globally at the moment, where you're sort of like, well, does it just follow the L, or is it actually a big full-on square? You know, so you know, we might get a whole new set of terrain, and then we have to do all these other bits and pieces. So it's just those things that we kind of have to address as we go, and trying to make things as fluid and easy as possible to change on the fly. And I think, I mean, it was pretty chilled. It was pretty easy. I mean, everyone was quite. All the participants were really, really welcoming and calm, and everyone was good. But I also think that just came from us being kind of, you know, well organized.
Well, yeah, I mean, as someone who has a background in hospitality, if you ever sort of see those events where the host is super like anxious and has had like 5 cocktails and is like hyper stressing about everything, those are the events where it sort of tends to string out of hand quite quickly, right? If you're the one running the ship and everybody's seeing you calm, they're calm. It's pretty. I mean, it falls back on you guys and how much prep you went in, how much prep you guys put in, and how you were able to be so organized. And like I said, someone who's hosted, or not hosted, but been vision to many, many, many functions and events over the time when I was a chef. Those sorts of things matter, and like when you're a chef and you're putting in the prep work in the kitchen, that full week that you're prepping food beforehand, on the day it can make it smooth sailing, and so only your hard work going in is what you have to show for it.
Well, it's the same thing, like like in the gym, right? Like you train
hard, fight easy.
Train hard, fight easy.
Yeah,
right? That's what you always get told at the gym. You train hard, fight easy, and it's true. It's 100% true. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was fun. What did you guys learn?
Yeah, for me, I think the event really went well, and then of course, all credit to both of you, Lucky and Dalton, as the main organizer. And then I think all the participants are also very friendly and welcoming. And I think the only thing that I would say a bit lacking would be more beers because it's only me, Lucky, and Dalton who's drinking. So next, I also felt like, of course, it's a fun event, it's a fun games, but I think the players were really there to like win some games, be serious about winning. But of course, I know they had fun, but I would want them also to be drinking.
Well, we
I
had the bar
had
open. We could maybe push that a bit more.
I had to go get myself a drink after fucking Charlie.
I think it gets a bit limiting. I agree, Laurence, by the way, but I think the only thing I think it gets limiting is when it's a one-day event, because usually people haven't, they've still got to drive somewhere or they've still got to get somewhere, and not everyone comes from the same Bayside area, so it gets difficult.
Yeah.
But no, 100%.
2-day event in August. That's going to be a different story.
That's it. Very different.
Isn't it
stories.
September?
No excuses. September.
September, October, August, sometime after July.
After July, before October.
Okay.
Are
There
you
we
sure?
100%. It's after July, before October.
He's not sure at all.
I am, because
It's going to be in November.
my next baby's born in July, so I can't be. So it'll be after that, and then it can't be after October either, because of venue limitations. So it's literally in that 2-month period. It's August or September. Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll have to fit in with with the rest of the scene as well, like who's got what weekends and what other, because we don't want to be taking from other TOs and because it is going to be a 36 or 40 player event. So
Well, I mean, you've got some limitations in June then, because VTC is June now, isn't it? Early June.
End of June, VTC is 25th.
Okay.
Of which we're all going, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Riscarellas is actually taking 2 teams to VTC.
Currently 2.
I think we can make it even 3. There are some people even
Still watching, I've seen that.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be so cool if we take 3 teams there.
Mate, I think you called it 6 months ago. We're taking over. It's
That's
fine.
it, man.
Yeah.
We will be doing the Melbourne Open soon.
Yeah, that's the plan, right? The Melbourne International Open.
Get all those American and European players here.
I said, I think I said this. I said it in the Discord. I didn't say it publicly, but like, if Riscarellas was ever going to run a super major, like 150 plus players, you'd be settling for nothing less than the exhibition center.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Like, not the main floor, obviously.
No.
But like,
Well, I mean,
one of the decent rooms within the exhibition center, and just have like our banners and stuff, and all our advertising all on the screens in the front as you walk in. It'd be so awesome.
Oh,
That'd be pretty
It'd be really cool, actually. This is just saying now, if we could potentially try and organize it with PAX and run it at PAX.
Oh,
I mean, just
all right. You're saying that. Can you imagine 75 tables and how much space it's going to need?
Yeah, do you know how big the exhibition center is?
Yeah, I know, but with PAX as well, you're getting pretty ambitious there as far as just fitting that in.
Yeah, we'd have to hire one of the bigger halls, which would cost an exorbitant amount of money. But I mean, that's the goals, right? It's like,
Also, 75 tables of terrain.
Charlie, start building now. Okay?
Charlie, get to work.
God damn it.
No, but
we had 2 tables of Charlie's terrain at the event as well.
We did.
And they looked really nice. They were really good.
I'm surprised we actually got that much terrain.
No, that would be the ultimate, tacking it onto something like that. Whereas like, the Riscarellas presents the Melbourne International 40k Open, and it's at it's a 150 player super major at PAX on PAX weekend.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
That'd be sick.
That would just be that'd be baller. That'd be the biggest flex in like the Australian games, the Australian 40k community for sure.
It's funny that you bring up all that content though, and all those hopes and dreams, and then it just brought to my mind the difference of like looking at LVO that just happened, and just how international metas are so different, like from us to the States, and
Yeah.
because here Death Guard sits way prettier than it does over there.
Yeah, well, Chaos here is just really strong.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean,
Yeah.
so are like Horde Xenos. It's just good. And it's gonna be interesting actually to see what comes out of Masters. I've been speaking to a few of the players that are going and like that we know, and about what they're potentially taking, and they're just like taking just stuff. We like my Tyranid list is so away from the current meta of Tyranid Cross the Stampede.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. So it's and VTC is going to be really interesting as well. I mean, like, the guy who won Uprising, Australia's Super Major, in Adelaide, won with full Goth Orcs, with a Gazgul.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is a sweet list, too.
And you listen to the Normal Blokes podcast, the Liam Hackett is the guy who won, and he talks about, like, literally, I think, one game, his lowest scoring game was, like, 93.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and that was 8 games. I think it was 8.
Yeah.
8 games of all above like 93. Like just killed it.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, he's
mad.
like he's been in the top 4 or whatever for the past like 4 years in Australia, but it just goes to show, like as you're saying, Ikon, it's just so different.
And
What does it mean?
I mean, it sort of came to my mind that, hopes and dreams achieved, that international sort of stage, my biggest curiosity would be to see how those clashing of metas play out, because, I mean, how many people do we have from Australia going to LVO? Like,
Well, you see it in the WTC. So the World Team Championship, you see exactly that play out quite heavily. Because Australia takes a team, you have like a Swedish team, you have like a Polish team, you have a US team, all that stuff, and that's where you kind of see the differences play out. It is a teams event, which is different. There's not like a global singles event. Which is very drastically different. The metas are very
yeah, because you start playing the swords and shields, and you're mitigating
the
mitigating your
whole-
opponent's wins where they're going to win. So
Exactly.
or you're trying to anyway.
the whole way you score and the way you win is entirely different. So it's hard to compare them. But I think that's the closest thing that 40K as a community globally has as a kind of representation of multiple metas existing in the same space.
Yeah.
But I think a few guys from Australia went. I don't know who they were, but I think there was a couple like of Australia's premium players went up or whatever.
Across.
It's hard with an event that large as well. It's so dependent on your matchup. Like you can move through the field, so to speak. Like there's like how many is it? It was like 200 and something players there or something. Not even more.
Yeah, I think around 300.
That's
Jeez, so many.
hectic.
That's so
It's
sick.
like, what? Yeah, I mean, it just
Yeah.
becomes like a whole different kettle of fish, I think, at that point as well. In terms of how matchups are done and how that all. I mean, it isn't because the context is still the same and the algorithm or whatever the pairing system is still the same. But in terms of it is kind of somewhat different when the more numbers you have to kind of weave and dodge the field. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see that how that changes, even from like state to state. Like how, for example, when we do end up running a super major like that at PAX in like 4 or 5 years or something like that, how that does compare to Uprising, or how that compares to another big Australian event that like CanCon or something else that exists or whatever. So all those things are quite interesting to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I've got nowhere to go with that other than it's always fascinating to look at. I do like that there is a bit of a difference in the meta, and it is something to consider when you're preparing for an event, because a lot of the information is based on the American one.
Yeah, which is it's so. I mean, even the it's funny because you have ITC results, right? Which is obviously purely based in the US, pretty much. And then you have the Warhammer Games Workshop's like Meta Watch thing. You're like,
which is
you're like, what?
okay. Look,
where are
okay.
they
Correct me if
pulling
I'm
this data
wrong,
from?
but I have yet to see an article that says anything of value.
So I didn't realize this after they take it from their. It's taken from their official GW events. That's all.
All right.
That's literally what it's taken from. So you kind of like, well, it isn't really Meta Watch, is it? Like, and then it's very misleading, and this is what I think has caught people out when they started doing this in the middle of the year or whatever, because they're like, oh, this is during oppression of AdMech, and AdMech was like really low on Games Workshop's thing, and they're like, oh, they're just trying to say it to sell stuff. Like, well, if you look at who was doing well at their events, well, no, it's like the same thing. Like a Death Guard player won our event, but the next two were Custodes. And look, I think that as much as I'm not trying not to take anything away from the two Custodes players, I know that they both played very well because they both scored very high on all their games.
Yeah.
But Custodes just did happen to have a significant points decrease after a brand new codex just within time of the event dropping. And that was
so
a choice.
The points changed like the day of lists.
The day of.
Being due.
Yeah.
And also, Eldar came fourth, so that kind of skews the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, like, Custodes being at the top, if not top 3, was no surprise to me. I would have been surprised if there wasn't, because we had two Custodes players. I'm like, if no one gets in top 3, I'll be very, very surprised. To be honest, I actually thought it might have been Custodes, Crusher, and Death Guard, or Custodes, Crusher, and Sisters.
Yep. I definitely thought Black Templars would be up there.
Yes.
That too. Yeah. So
it's less based on the army and more just based on knowing Ikon and knowing how well he plays it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it was good. We had a good we had a great spread of armies.
The diversity was good.
There was 5 different Space Marines, no double up on Space Marines. So we had 1 Blood Angels, 1 Dark Angels, 1 Iron Hands, 1 Black Templars, 1 Blood Angels.
Ultramarines.
And then 1 Ultramarines. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's 6. And then there was 2 Custodes, 2 Tyranids, 2 Death Guard, 1 Sisters, 1 Orcs, 1 Eldar, 1 Knights.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's
pretty much everything. Except Drakari.
Except Necrons.
No, they don't. No.
There was no Drakari, no Admech, no Necrons, no Tau.
Which is all good. That's what you want. When you do an event, you're like, we don't want any Eldar period because no. We don't want Tau because
Locky's
no.
as we've established.
Necron's cool.
Locky, as we've established, Locky loves Space Marines, and every event would be 16 Ultramarines armies if Locky had his way.
Just Gilliman's. 2,000.
Just 2,000 points of Gilliman's. To be fair, that would be a more balanced game.
Gilliman's versus Mortarians.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. No, it was good. It's really good balance. And Charlie, you gotta take my hat off to you, mate. Like playing the book you did with the book that you're playing to get 4th up against a lot of other 9th edition stuff was really good.
Yeah, and playing so well.
Yeah.
Look, I was surprised too. So,
mate, own it. Don't say that. Just be like, yeah, bro. Thanks, man. I deserved that 4th place.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm honest, so yeah, I'm surprised.
But yeah, look, I think it was. I definitely had a fantastic time running it and seeing everyone playing. It was absolutely knackered afterwards, but it was so great to have so many people there playing 40k and enjoying the game and enjoying the day.
I have to touch on that, and that was actually something I thought of before we were, I thought of this afternoon when you were like, hey, let's do podcast tonight. I think one of the biggest things that I came away with from this event is 2 parts. It's 1, pack Nurofen and take it early, because standing still for that long, or standing on your feet for that long, hurts.
So sore.
And 2, bring lots of caffeine, because mental fatigue is a thing. Like by the end of it, your brain's just cooked.
Yeah.
I mean, I
would agree with that.
anticipated that but once you sort of play 3 games back to back like that, even though you know it's going to happen, it still hits you like a truck. And yeah, definitely, as someone who thoroughly enjoys caffeine, I definitely didn't consume enough to keep my brain going.
Well, that's why there's a bar there too. So
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, about halfway through the day, I hit the choice of beer or coffee. Was basically the choice I was running all afternoon at that point.
Yeah, but coffee to me is what beer is to Locky. Like, just yeah. I'll drink like stupid amounts of it, and then I'll just be functional.
Yeah.
No, that's a good piece of advice, I guess, for someone who, if anyone listening would like to attend their first event, and hopefully they would love to attend one of ours as their first event, it would be amazing. Those kinds of things, those little bits of
the externals that they're secondary to, or you think they're secondary to playing the game, but really they're a really big part. And you know, I mean, I sort of have listened to podcasts or whatever where they've even covered these sorts of concepts. But when you're prepping for your first event, even if it is just a friendly event like the one you guys have hosted, don't shy away from it and focus just on your list or your gameplay. Remember that you as a player are a key part of the game, and you need to address your needs, whether it be food or coffee or beer or just back pain. Like if these things are all, because there's massive mental components to playing 40k, and if you can't think straight because you've got externals of your own body impacting your game, as ridiculous that sound for a game where you're literally measuring and rolling dice, it's definitely a real thing. Mental fatigue will kick your ass by game 3, and you'll do what I did and forget to the last.
And also don't forget things like, we had chairs around and stuff like that. Like, if you're getting tired, just sit down. Sit down when it's not your turn.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's not disrespectful. It's fine. Like, bro, I just need to have a breather.
but that's under the same premise though, that you're
that's
so
what I mean.
thinking
like,
about the game. You're so thinking about the game that you don't realize. Like, I don't even reckon like I even considered sitting down just because I was I was so. And these are sort of key points that you can save yourself a lot of discomfort and just really keep that focus sharp if you spend just that little bit of extra time thinking about yourself as well as the game.
I mean, at Heresy, I only thought about sitting down in day 2 because I had to, because I physically couldn't stand.
Which,
you're
to be fair,
to shit.
I mean, you went for a nap in the car halfway through.
I did.
I had to go and wake you up for round 4.
Yeah. But hey, whatever. So I agree, and it was the same. And then it was only because after that I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm totally sitting down at my next event. Like, while they're doing their turn, you're like, yeah, whatever, hurry up, come on. When's it my turn? Just show me what's dead, so then I can do my turn.
But no, it was fantastic. If you were listening and you were attending, thank you so much for coming along. We hope you had a fantastic time. And if you attended or want to attend any of our future ones, make sure to be in the Discord to get early, to hear about that early.
And just in the Discord, so many TTS games and stuff went into prepping for this event.
Right now.
And
there's 2 games and there's like 6 people in different chats right now.
Like, as we're recording this, I can jump into the Discord and I can look at it and go, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Think of this like the Discord before Christmas, and then suddenly like the influx of people, and like it's just popping off.
It's almost doubled since Christmas.
Yeah, and all day, every day, it's popping off. People are just like doing games and chatting Warhammer. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a great place to be. It really is. And hats off to you guys for actually getting it growing. It's really cool.
If you are a new player, I mean, I'm looking here. We've got Mick is helping. I can't say his Discord handle. I can't say that. How do you say that? The guy that
loaded BB77.
Yeah, I can't read that well. Mick's helping him through his second game ever right now. There's people here that definitely can help you build if you're a new player and want to get into events and have a bunch of fun.
You're doing that with another guy tomorrow, right? You're playing like 1,000-point game because
Yeah.
you're learning GK,
Grey
and
Knights
he wants to learn Orcs, So
yeah, and it's either him, or if he doesn't have time to play tomorrow for whatever reason, I'll play Jack's Chaos. I was just talking about that with him earlier. So if you're someone new that's, like, where do I start, and maybe don't even have 2,000 points or even 1,000 points to put on the table at this stage, jump in the Discord, because, we're all playing TTS, we're all prepping for our next events for the people that are going, and we're
just playing.
We're just playing.
Yeah. And speaking of which, a lot of people don't know, we run a club. Bayside Tabletop is a club where we catch up and play games in person as well.
Yeah.
And we organise club days. Yeah, that's all sorts of points levels, all sorts of stuff. We've got our next event. We organise all that through the Discord to be in there for it. But that's just, we catch up and play games down in Moorabbin at the same venue. So jump on in there, especially if you're new. Jump on in. I'll play at 200 points if you want to get a feel for how how the game works.
Dalton, you and I are going to be playing Kill Team that whole day.
We're going to be playing some Kill Team. Although I've also got some Crusade lined up with Liam. I think
you said that. Yeah.
For the from the Slow Grow, the Tale of Many Wargames.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be playing Kill Team all day. So.
Yeah, so at Kill Team 40k and other games as well. You're more than welcome to. We've got smaller games happening. Yeah. So yeah, we've got all aspects of the hobby happening in the Discord, and that's where it's all centered around. So come and be involved.
That's it.
Yeah. But with that, I want to say thank you all for joining me for this podcast.
Thanks for having me once again.
Thank you for having us again.
Thanks too.
You're so welcome.
and thank you all for listening. We will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.